What's up, guys? So this is a video on how to fix your slipping problem on your Tamiya Terra Crusher. Now this right here is my personal Terra Crusher. It has almost all of the GPM hop-ups you can ever get, and this one has the slipping problem, as well as my friend Adam's Terra Crusher project that I'm doing for him. You can see he's poured quite a bit of money into parts, so mostly all aluminum, and his also slips. So I've already rebuilt the engine and both front and rear sides, so we're going to be moving on to the heart of the vehicle, the transmission. Now he has ordered many parts, so this is a brand new clutch bell, brake pads, titanium drive shafts, new brake arm, one-way bearings, a full Durlin gear set, the clutch shoes for the shifting. These are actually really expensive. These are like 40 bucks, and also a bunch of grease and oil. So with the FRAT transmission, why it slips so much is there's a little clutch in there that engages, and that slips a lot, usually 9 out of 10. Like my friend from Facebook, he was saying, and he's done a really good video about it. Go check his video out about it. But there's also a one-way bearing that also slips, just like a pull start from a nitro engine. So we're going to be taking this apart today. I've actually never ever taken apart this transmission. So this is pretty as new to me as it is to you, so it's really not going to be a tutorial video. But we are going to be installing all these parts and hopefully trying to get this transmission to stop slipping. So I'm just going to move all this stuff off my work table, and I'm going to start opening up the transmission. Okay, so I have the transmission on the chassis. I'm just going to take this off using a flat Phillips screwdriver with these 6 screws. Okay, so now I'm just going to take off the drive shafts. Now I'm just gonna take off all these screws, and I'm also gonna take off the spur gear. So those are spur gear assemblies. So we have one nut, one gold colored washer, 3 black washers, and make sure these are facing the correct way. You can find them in the manual. And then the spur gear along with the slipper discs. So that's that. So I'm just going to set this aside right there. So it looks like I'm going to have to take off this little E-clip right here. Just going to use a little flathead for that. So there's our E-clip. Let's set that to the side as well. And we also have to remove these 3 screws then. I'm going to take this off very slowly. So we have a bunch of grease. And all our gears seem intact. So we're going to be replacing all of these with the GPM Derlin gear set right there. That's the, here's the part number right there. But yeah, it's the Derlin center gearbox teeth set for the Terra Crusher. So what I'm going to now do is just take all of these out. And I'm going to try to access the forward clutch. Very complicated. Okay, so it looks like this is attached from the back. Oh, never mind. It came out. So we have our bearing right there. We have our shift fork for reverse, I'm thinking. So that's out. So keep that in one piece. And there's our forward clutch in there. So that's one of our shoes, I think. And there's another one. See, I can tell this is pretty glazed over with grease. So I'm just going to set these to the side. And I'm going to take out the forward clutch. It's kind of hard to get your fingers in there. Actually, it might be... Yeah, I think we have to remove this E-clip first before we take the clutch bell off. So I'm gonna wash or wipe my hands first, and then I'm gonna take off the E-clip. There's our E-clip off. I'm going to put this to the side. So, trying to organize. So, take out the actual brake discs. And I'm going to keep these calipers here. And, well, the whole thing just fell out. So, I'm going to keep this inside. Like that. And then we have access to our clutch bell. So this is very coated with grease, so that's probably why it was slipping. I'm gonna take this and just blast everything with carb cleaner. There's also a one-way bearing somewhere. Yeah, it's right here. This one's not slipping with. Still, I'm gonna clean also this one-way bearing and with carb cleaner as well. Everything else I'm fairly certain you don't have to mess with, because those are not related to any slipping problems. So I'm just going to take the one-way bearing and the clutch bell, and I'm going to clean these with carb cleaner. Okay, so now we've actually just cleaned the bearing and the clutch bell with carb cleaner, and also this is the bearing that came out of the inside of the clutch bell, and the one-way bearing just sits right on top of that, like so. However, my friend was lucky enough to actually find a brand new clutch bell on eBay. These are not cheap. So we're just going to be installing this and put the bearing in there. So you want to make sure the one-way bearing spins freely this way, but catches this way. So now I'm actually just going to install this Delrin set from GPM. So I'm just going to put in the one-way bearing right there in the clutch bell. And I'm going to put that to the side. And I'm going to just install these. So I'm just going to switch out most of the parts. So I've removed the gears from the packages. Now I'm just going to take off the pieces and swap them. Okay, yet another one-way bearing on this gear. So I'm gonna try to, so yeah, there, it popped right out. And I'm actually just going to, let me see if it catches first. God, that's tight. Alright, there we go. So actually it was catching, but I just didn't see the shaft move. But anyways, cleaned it out, and it moves the shaft now. So look at that. Anyways, that's that. And we have the last gear, which is just this. So that's actually supposed to, this is just supposed to come off the housing. So I'm just gonna pop off the bearing then. I'm just going to try to use a socket and a mallet to push this off. There we go. Camera moved a little bit, but that's alright. So there's our bearing off. I'm just going to push it onto this one. That slid on nice and easily. So that's your shift adjustment screw right there. That little screw right there. Anyways, once you're done with that, just pop it back on. Spins freely. Now I'm just gonna put all of these back on. Okay, so I'm just gonna be installing these. So there's our transmission shoes, clutch shoes. So in the manual, I'm fairly sure that they go on this direction, but make sure you clean these thoroughly with a carb cleaner or just whatever cleaner you got. If you touch them with your hands while they're still greasy, clean them again, because these are what the forward clutch relies on. So it'll cause slippage. So we have our new clutch bell. Just slide that on, and looks good. I'm gonna set this to the side. Set the used pieces on that side there. So you can probably tell that the transmission housing, it's a bit dark here, but inside of the transmission housing is quite oily. So thoroughly clean these before installing all these new pieces. So we're just going to put on the final gear shaft. So it's this piece, which used to be this piece, which just slides onto here like so, and that's what you get right there. So in the manual they tell you to put it in this way, and there's a little gold washer that goes on here before the bearing. So put that on there, and that's that. So that spins freely. And take this out first before you put in the forward clutch. Slide that in there, and then now we can slide in our little brake pad holder like that. And so our final gear shaft just fell out, so just insert that back again, make sure the washer is on there like so. And what we're going to do is take our forward clutch, we're going to match up this little shift linkage right here to that hole right there, and then there's the flat spots on the shift fork, and there's the slots that match up right there. So we're gonna slide those in. So that, oh crap. So we're gonna slide it in, and make sure to put your hand over the forward clutch to make sure it doesn't slide out. Slide it in, and there's gonna be a flat spot on the clutch bell, so just slide that in, and there we go. So we have the clearance for this E-clip. They're just gonna pop that in like so. Pair of pliers. So now that's secure. We're going to put on the other final gear shaft and pop this out a little bit so you can get it in there. There we go. That wasn't the best way to do it, but it's in there. Gears seem to be good. So set that aside. Now we're gonna do the other side of the transmission, just these two gears. So once you get those on, just install the spur gear assembly. So it's just these two gears, like the two molded gears together, and then the spur gear. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just look at the manual. You'll figure it out. It's not that hard. However, there is one piece of advice I'd like to give you. Remember that there is inside this blue housing from this side, you have to put a BF5 bearing on there, and then another one of those gold washers. And then there's going to be another bearing on this side, or this one right here, which meets this one. So once that is all done, close the system up. Like so, making sure, brake pads, but making sure all the edges are sealed together with no gaps. Now once you've confirmed that and they all fit seamlessly, just install all the screws. So once you've made sure all the screws are tight, this brake pad keeps on falling off, but once you've made sure all the screws are very tight, just put on the drive shafts, which I have right here. You can just reuse the old ones, but I'll get this out of the package. Just put it in, line up the hole, and screw them in. So these GPM titanium ones, actually the grub screws are significantly smaller. They don't even have pins, so let me do a side-by-side comparison, but you can see how short the GPM ones are. So I'm just going to reuse the old ones, the grub screws, if they fit. Yep, they fit. Just make sure the torque goes down and repeat the process for the other side. So those are all torqued down. I think it's safe to say that we've finished the rebuild of this Tamiya Terra Crusher. Oh, geez, these brake pads. This Tamiya Terra Crusher FRAT transmission. So everything seems to work. When I spin this, they go the correct directions, I think. Yup. So reverse seems to work as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and install this on the truck and we'll see how it performs. Okay guys, so I apologize, but we installed the brake discs the wrong way. So take off this circlip. Make sure not to lose that. And then I'm just going to slide off the brake pads. Okay. Then we're going to carefully take this off, and this is supposed to be on this way. So now what we're going to do is just install the brake pads again. And then I'm going to line it up with the flat spot on the clutch bell, and then just install it that way. And then get the second brake pad aligned, and there we go. Just put on the circlip. There we go. So those are our brake pads, and that is all good to go. So now I'm just going to install this on the chassis. What's up guys, so here are the two Terra Crushers. This is the one that I was working on with the FRAT rebuild, and this is my personal Terra Crusher, which also has the slipping problem, so I'm gonna do this in my personal time. But this one no longer has the slipping problem. It has been fixed, and it hits those 2 speeds, baby. So this thing has barely any slippage anymore. I think maybe a little bit of grease got onto the clutch shoes, and that's causing it a little bit to slip, but it's mostly good now. It hits those 2 speeds, and that's really all that matters. So I will start this up and show you a demo. you can see there, it did shift into second gear. Air filter just fell off, so I need to tighten the zip tie on that. But there's a little demo for you guys to show that this mod and this repair actually does work. So I will be performing this on my personal Terra Crusher sooner or later, and by that I mean sooner. But this mod does indeed work, and it works like a charm. So this will be given back to its owner, and we're just going to be having a good time yelling 2-speed baby. So I did spend a lot of time on this video, and I put in a lot of time and effort into it. So I hope you guys use this to get your Terra Crushers running. If you like, comment and subscribe. So that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'm out, nice rain. See you later.